Let's get the read on all of this from Brandon Daniels, the Exiger CEO. Key player in looking at our supply chain and all the problems associated with that. That's not going away, Brandon. I mean, you could talk a little bit about inflation and rising prices and how stubborn they are, how much they're sticking and continue to stick. But the supply chain is just a whole nother layer of nonsense, right?
Well, Neil, and thank you for having me on. It's good to see you again.
Same here.
I think we're fighting different fights with the same weapon, and that's why we're losing. So, you know, when Steve was just talking to you before and bringing everything back down to oil and gas derivatives like fertilizer shortages, then creating grain and feed shortages, he's right that there are shortages, but there are shortages due to this reverberating impacts of supply chain inadequacies. So Russia and China, both being subject to a war and lockdowns, reduces the availability of total distribution of food and the equipment and the capabilities and the underlying manufacturing componentry needed to actually fuel our food industry. So we've got these supply chain issues over here. And then on the other side, we're raising interest rates to combat inflation, which are actually the repercussions of these supply chain problems. So we're raising interest rates to fight inflation, but all we're actually doing is we're sucking investment out of the market, because everyone's now saying, oh, I can hedge inflation by moving into these higher interest rate products or more traditional products or hedges and moving out of equity positions. So we're fighting the fights with the wrong weapons. We're taking much too far of a blunt instrument into this fight against inflation.
I don't know what feeds what, though, Brendan. I mean, you could argue with the rising cost, the disproportionate cost of gasoline, diesel as well in California. And California is from where we get a lot of our basic food supplies for this country, not exclusively, obviously, but a good deal. That's going to make it difficult for truckers to transport that from California to other states. So you've got this self sort of feeding spiral here. And the end result are higher prices and more headaches for businesses, for truckers, for you name it. Now, if it is indeed feeding on itself, where do you see this going?
I mean, it is a vicious cycle. So we need corporations, we need the US federal government, we need the Democracy 10, right, the G7, plus South Korea, Australia, and India to get together and to talk about reshoring major aspects of the supply chain. We also have to be working with the nations in Africa to reset our expectations of the breadbasket of the world. You know, there are major tectonic shifts that we need to make into the supply chain redesign that corporations, both public and private partnerships, need to be established to fix those issues. And if we don't fix those and attack those at their heart, this will keep getting worse. And then if we keep trying to fight supply chain based inflation, whether it's in oil and gas, Neil, or if it's in core componentry or it's in neon making chips, wherever the supply chain issue, if we keep trying to fight it with an interest rate, weapon, we're going to end up continuing to drive a sort of fleet of safety into more traditional assets and outside of equity and growth, right? That's why you see tech stocks taking a pummeling. And so
commodities not, right? Commodities not. Commodity Research Bureau in it for those who buy, pegged on that. You've been richly rewarded. And I'm wondering if you're right about this, and you've been pretty canny about where we're going. Do you think that continues, that those who invest in commodities of all sorts, it seems these days, including energy, including agricultural items, maybe less so the metals, that's the place to be?
It is the place to be because, one, it'll see growth because we need more in order to essentially fuel the economy of the future. And two, prices aren't going down in that space. And so I think the people that got in and are riding the wave are very happy right now and will continue to be, even through a recession. I think it's potentially got the opportunity to be recession-proof because people are investing it to secure the supply chain for tomorrow.
Yeah, someone always is making money in any given bear market or tumble.
That's right. It's like matter. It's never destroyed
exactly.
Or created. It's always flowing from one place to the other.
Right. We were just trying to get a better handle. Who's exactly is it flowing to? Brandon, thank you very much. I always learn a lot. Brandon Daniels, the Exiger CEO, following this phenomenon that goes way beyond prices. By the way, another component of this is